if you're going to tell me that I can get loads more impressions through going to video, I'm going to try it. Like, I know some people will be negative about that and say you can't just go for the impressions, but
Yeah.
why would you not try it? I'm one of those people that never shy away from saying the numbers matter, right? I would never say to anybody numbers don't matter. The numbers have been everything to me personally, like confidence, drive to keep doing what I'm doing and knowing it's right. So when video came along, I wanted to try it to see if the impressions were as people were saying. And they were. They're not now, disclaimer. They have dropped like way down again, right? But another reason, and a reason more important to me in my business, I coach people. And when I coach people, it looks like this, right? It looks like me on a screen, being happy, being smiley, helping them, being serious too, right? But to help them elevate their words, create better content, sort their LinkedIn game out. So this for me is an easy win. If I can put myself in front of people and they can see me in personality, for me, that just feels common sense that I stand a better chance of them saying, hey, Phil, like your style, you seem like the sort of person I could work with. Can you help me with my content? So for me, I enjoy it. It's fun. It takes me less time, right? It takes me less time to record 2 videos that will do me for the week than it does to sit and write posts. So again, easy wins. It just kind of makes sense.
So hi guys, this is Eamon and welcome to another episode of Mindful Marketing. And today we have my personal favorite, Phil. And he is an expert in LinkedIn ghostwriting as well as storytelling. And you all know him for his video content on LinkedIn, which is very amazing. So we have a very interesting and different topic to talk about today. That is how video content can win hearts and algorithms on social media. So all over to you, Phil. Can you first tell me how did you actually start your journey when it comes to video content? Because you're primarily do, ghostwriting and all. So how did you start off with videos?
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. How did I get started? I got started over on Instagram, to be honest. Over a year ago, I started on Instagram. I didn't know social media too well. And at the time, that's where the writers seem to be, the copywriters. I came
Yeah.
to LinkedIn and I couldn't find writers. I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I started on Instagram and I made lots of carousels and I enjoyed, a writing style over there that would encourage people to scroll.
Yeah.
That didn't seem to exist over here on LinkedIn at the time. So I really enjoyed that. And got a little bit of success with it, started writing posts for the people, producing carousels for the people. And so it felt like a natural kind of progression of blog writing, which is where I'd started really, but was kind of phasing out. AI was coming in. A lot of people were getting their blogs written using AI. And so about 6 months into that, a good friend said to me, you need to come over to LinkedIn. You need to try it over there. You will love it. I said, I won't love it. I've tried it. I've had a go and I can't find it. I can't find people. I can't find community. It's just not happening for me. Anyway, I tried. And I went in blind, like completely blind. I didn't speak to anyone. I didn't ask for advice. I just copied and pasted my Instagram stuff over. And it didn't work. It really didn't work. I say it didn't work now, but I guess what was happening was what happens to anybody on LinkedIn. It's brutal. The start is brutal. And I know that for myself. I know it with the clients that I work with. You're not going to succeed over there in a short time. And I thought I could do that, right? So I gave up. About 3 months in, I said, do you know what? No, I can't do this. Nothing's happening. Nobody's even liking my posts. And I went back to Instagram. Anyway, fast forward a few months, I spoke to a few people, I got some advice, which I think is really important. There's a lot of advice out there, and I needed to speak to people that I trusted and say, how is this working for you? But not only that, I needed to know that there was a system. Like, I'm a very systematic guy. Like, I like process. I need things like this, and this to be able to operate, to function, and to do it well. And so I'll never forget, someone said, what I always do is I always do one personal post, one business post, and one social proof post. I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. That is right up my street because I know as a writer, what I can do is then maybe blend some of those. So it doesn't always feel completely personal. There will be, even if it's subliminal, there'll be a cheeky little business angle to it, but it still helped me categorize them. And so things started to take off, mainly down to commenting, is what I would say. Like, it's not a myth, it's not a cliche that when you spend time engaging, and you know this because you're very good at engaging, when you engage well and you don't go over the top, you just use a bit of heart, a bit of humanity, good things start to happen. Yes, it still takes time.
Yeah.
And so things started to spiral, things started to pick up. Nice growth happened. Lots of that community feel people talk about. I started to feel it. And yeah, soon enough, people said, "How do you feel about writing on LinkedIn for me?" And so I did, and that stuck. And then people would ask, can you coach me? Can you teach me to do it better? And I said, yeah. And that stuck as well. And that's where I'm at now. So it's been a journey of pivots, so I would never discourage people from pivoting.
Yeah.
I've gone from blog writing to Instagram posts to just website copy, but I've landed now on two places that I feel really comfortable.
That's really nice. So,
That's
how
it.
did you actually start with video content specifically, and what made you actually go towards shifting towards video specifically?
Oh, video. Do you know what? Honestly, hands up, part of the thing that made me shift there was firstly, if you're going to tell me that I can get loads more impressions through going to video, I'm going to try it. Like, I know some people will be negative about that and say you can't just go for the impressions, but
Yeah.
why would you not try it? I'm one of those people that never shy away from saying the numbers matter, right? I would never say to anybody numbers don't matter. The numbers have been everything to me personally, like confidence, drive to keep doing what I'm doing and knowing it's right. So when video came along, I wanted to try it to see if the impressions were as people were saying. And they were. They're not now, disclaimer. They have dropped like way down again, right? But another reason, and a reason more important to me in my business, I coach people. And when I coach people, it looks like this, right? It looks like me on a screen, being happy, being smiley, helping them, being serious too, right? But to help them elevate their words, create better content, sort their LinkedIn game out. So this for me is an easy win. If I can put myself in front of people and they can see me in personality, for me that just feels common sense that I stand a better chance of them saying, "Hey Phil, like your style, you seem like the sort of person I could work with. Can you help me with my content?" So for me, I enjoy it. It's fun. It takes me less time, right? It takes me less time to record two videos that will do me for the week than it does to sit and write posts. So again, easy wins. It just kind of makes sense.
That's right. So why do you think that video content actually works out? Because we all heard that video
Content
content
actually
has more
works out.
impressions. But why is it so that LinkedIn loves videos as compared to other types of content?
I mean, I think it did tie into that push, that they launched the icon. Everybody jumped on board with it. And yeah, look, the impressions at that time were really good. So just to be really clear with that, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of impressions. And to be really clear with that, I've never experienced that on any other kind of post. So it's important to be honest about these things. My static posts will get anywhere from, at the minute, because things seem to be have dropped slightly for me at least, anywhere between 1,000 to 1,000, 2,000 impressions for a static post. Carousels 4,000 to 6,000, and then video was coming in at 150,000 was my first video. However, since the icon disappeared, since there's less video on the feed, my videos now get a similar level of impressions to my carousels. So a few thousand maybe, which is still amazing. Like, I think sometimes we get carried away when we've done this for a while and we throw out numbers like this. And like I said earlier, we forget what it's like at the start. And I don't forget what it's like at the start. And that's the promise I've made to a few people that I've coached along the way. I won't forget that because that's a big part of what I do. I help people get from that initial phase just to start building some confidence and some community on LinkedIn. So does it mean I'll stop because the impressions are down? No. Like I say, it's I think it's a really good step in just putting me out there so people get to know me.
That's right. So do you think that just like we talk about, text content and there's a proper hook and then there's a rehook and there's a way of writing. So do you also think that in videos, the same thing goes around that you need a hook to have, to go to a lot of audiences and you need to have a way of speaking?
That's a really good question. I think with the hook, I, I had to I started recording video, right? And a few people said to me, and this is no negative on them if they end up seeing this. They said, "Oh, it needs to be a bit quicker, like a bit faster, a bit more TikTok." And I listened, right? Having never been on TikTok, like I'm too old for TikTok. That's not happening. And I listened to it, and so I started changing my videos, and I did these fast-paced intros, like 3 top tips to. But I wasn't comfortable, like. And I realized actually that it links back to what I was just saying. I'm trying to project myself as I would be on a coaching call, right? Or a workshop. And I don't need to do that. I don't need to start with a big hook. I don't need to. I will be animated by default because that's my nature, right? So I don't need to go over the top. So I kind of listened to that at the start and I went with it and I was trying to get hooks in. I was even change editing the first second of the video so the hook would be in there. I have video editors dropping into my DMs every day saying, "Oh, let's just freshen this up or let's start there." No, no, I don't want to. There's something about what I want to offer, and it might sound cheesy or cliche. I just want it to be me. I just want it to be raw. I don't want to pretend because I'm not selling myself as a video
Yeah.
editor, right? So right now, there might come a time where I want a professional setup or whatever. But right now, I want the light that's shining on my face right now. I want a microphone from Amazon, and that will absolutely do me. Get CapCut sorted, that's fine by me. That's all I need. So no, I don't think I'm going to keep working on fancy hooks with videos. And then in terms of your second question, it's probably a slightly more animated version of me, I would say. Like what you're seeing now is me normally. So I don't know. I don't know if I guess we play up to the camera a little bit when we know it's going on LinkedIn, right? Ever so slightly, but it's only slightly. It's not like a caricature of me or anything
Yeah.
over the top.
That's right. So a lot of your video content actually stands out because like your recent one, I saw it and you're playing a guitar basically. So a lot of people have this misconception that LinkedIn is very professional and your video content is actually something that's very different. It's completely different than the type of perception we have on LinkedIn. So what do you think? Do you think that it's very important to have professional way of videos on LinkedIn or you can have it in another way as well?
The guitar one was a one-off. I'll be honest with that. It was just something. That space is that's my garage, right? So that space is it's a little bit of a work setup. I've got my ring light in there. I've got my little mic in there. It's also my gym, and it's also the space where I play guitar. And it just so happened that I played a bit of guitar in there, and I thought, do you know what? This links really nicely to my tone video. It's not going to be a regular, and those sort of quirky videos also won't be a regular. Um, I think the other kind of videos that I do are they're just an extension of my words that I use when I write text posts, to be honest. So I still think they maintain professionalism. I just think it's that stigma now that people equate video content on LinkedIn with not being professional. But then there was a time, right, like I said earlier, when I first came on LinkedIn, carousels weren't there. Like there weren't carousels flying around everywhere on LinkedIn. It did not happen. There were text posts with the occasional selfies. So I think everyone's got an opinion about what the professional platform needs to look like. I think it's very easy to have some fun with it. I see a lot of people apologizing for posts, almost using that apology as a hook, like
Yeah.
this is one of those posts that should be on Facebook or something like that. Right. I think those posts are what makes it, because ultimately there's still a lot of great writing contributing towards those posts. So for me, um, I'm keep doing what I'm doing and know that I'm balancing professional and just getting myself across in the right way.
That's right. So a lot of people also believe that on LinkedIn you have everything is about sales, it's about jobs, and it's used for, career. But I've seen a lot of your posts are inspirational. They don't have anything related to your job or, having a sales gig or something like that. So how much do you think that LinkedIn plays a role in motivating and inspiring others? Because that's what your content also does.
Yeah, thank you. And I try really hard to do that. Giving back, I think, is really important. And if you look at any creator, any top creator, they'll talk about that, and they'll talk about on the way they gave back a lot. And I really believe in it, because I think if you just go into this thing hard sell, or even like not knowing how to not sell, it just puts people off. So if you're commenting, and even in your comments you can feel the hard sell, if there's a DM that lands and even that doesn't feel like, I don't know if old fashioned is the word, right, but nothing is cold. Nothing's going to work if it's cold, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to, that I've never met, nobody that I've never met in person, or at least on a call, is going to come into my DMs and I'm going to say, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll pay you a few £100s. It's just not going to happen for any service. Now, everyone's entitled to their opinion on that, but I'm the same. For me, it's about relationships. It always has been. And a lot of my clients, particularly my coaching clients, are people I have a relationship with. What I would say is, if I didn't produce video content, if I didn't have a relationship with them where we've maybe jumped on a networking call at some point, would they have hired me and paid me to coach them to be better writers? Possibly not. Probably not for some of them, and definitely not because I've asked some of them. So that's my angle. Like, I will always have two social proof posts every week, right? So like I said earlier, personal, business, social proof. Again, it's a skill, like the skill of a writer, I guess, to be able to do a social proof post, but not just be an in your face sell. And I guess it's the same for me through my emails as well. Those people on my newsletter, it's an extension of what I do on LinkedIn. It's not just firing, oh,
Yeah.
and make sure you jump on this program, or here's a workshop for you for this price. That's just not me. I think what I would say is, with time and confidence and community comes that ability to be able to offer something to somebody without, but because you built up the relationship, it doesn't come across in the wrong way. So I think that's really important.
So your video content is, of different type of styles. You don't have the same style always. Sometimes you're doing storytelling and sometimes you're doing something else. Sometimes you're playing a guitar. So what type of advice do you have for the new people who are, starting off on LinkedIn? And if they want to create video content, what type of style should they adopt? And how do they know that what's their particular way of making a video?
Yeah, okay. I think I think people generally that I speak to find the thought of putting video out there really difficult,
Yeah.
particularly if they're quite new to LinkedIn. And I get that, like 100%. I wouldn't have just jumped on here and started doing video. That's why I'm not on TikTok and I'm not on other platforms that are more video based. Um, so I understand it. What I often do with those that I work with is, we practice together, because it's hard, and a lot of people don't find this kind of thing easy. Being able just to look in a camera or look at another person on a call and talk to them. Some people really struggle with that. So sometimes the kind of coaching I do is like this, where we actually say, okay, you tell me a little story, because like you said, storytelling is a massive part of what I do and what I try and bring out of others. Look at the camera, talk to me about your story. Let's try and create what in essence could be a video for you. And we've done that a few times and it's been really good. Do you need someone like me there to do you need someone like me there to do that? Of course you don't. Like, the practice can start with this kind of thing where you're talking into your own phone, into a camera. But I totally get it. Video content's hard to get started with. In terms of finding your own style, I would just say don't overthink it. Like, I see a lot of guys who must put hours and hours into
Yeah.
video content, and they're not selling. They're not selling their video. Like, they're not an editor. Like, they're not selling video editing as a service, right? And so for me, it goes back to what I said earlier. I will never put that much effort in. If anything, I'll spend less time because it's fast and it's quick. So I think just don't overthink it. Get yourself in front of your phone, and I'll say just tell stories. I know it's not easy, but just start telling some stories to your device.
Right. So how do you actually repurpose your video content, and do you even actually repurpose it? Because when it comes to carousels and text, we always hear a lot of posts about repurposing. So how do you repurpose your video content?
Yeah, so some of my video content is linked to storytelling tips and tricks. I find myself at a point in my business now where because I've been creating content for on Canva for such a long time, probably about 2 years, I've got quite a collection of different things from like PDFs to text that I've saved over time. And I wish I'd started that earlier. Like that advice, I used to do everything on notes on my phone, and now I've got it all just saved on my laptop. I've got every post I've ever written. So repurposing becomes so simple. And sometimes this is actually harder for me than it is to just do a video off the cuff. But sometimes I look at posts that have performed really well and I just try and quickly learn them without any like fancy AI auto cue. And then I just repeat them as video content and they've gone down really well. And if anybody would ever think, oh, I don't know if I could do that, people might know. Nobody ever knows. Let's be honest about it. Nobody knows. That's been really useful. And what it enabled me to do was start my video with what I called a series, and it was like storytelling secrets. And every video I'd do would be just a little extension of the next. And I'd set a task. And then next time I'd say, last time we looked at this.
Oh,
Because
nice.
that's in line with everything. Yeah, exactly. And that's in line with everything I do. Like that's the that's what I do in my newsletter. I say, try this, and then we'll talk about it next week. That's what I do if I'm coaching people, right? I set little bits of homework and then we recap on them next time we speak. So for me, the repurposing just felt quite simple and quite natural for video.
That's amazing. So a lot of people, they also have this myth that you have a particular time to post and a frequency to post. But I've seen you post on weekends as well. And your content on the weekends is actually one of my favorites. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I'll say thank you first of all. Um, yeah, I've fluctuated with weekend posting. When I first started, I think I was doing 3 posts a week. And then things were going well, so I wanted to experiment. So then I tried 5 posts a week. Once I got a system nailed, and I was doing that three kind of part process that I talked about earlier, then I found creating the content really easy and I found it really fast. And because I was creating everything in these sort of three headings, I had content lined up more than I'd ever done before. And that made me feel really comfortable. So then what it allowed me to do is think, okay, Saturday morning, sometimes I post on Saturdays, right? It's not all the time. I've got 2 kids. Sometimes life is busy. But if I do have time, and particularly you mentioned like a window, my window is always early here. So my window is sort of a 6:30 a.m. window because it just works before the kids wake up, before the house gets busy and noisy. It allows me to give my hour there. So yeah, sometimes, and it will always be a more relaxed post. My kids might feature in that post on a Saturday. I find it reaches different people. Like often one post on a weekend gives me a little spike in followers that wouldn't happen in the week. So I think that's one that was worth experimenting. And then when it worked, well, it gets a bit addictive if it works, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
why stop? Um, but not every weekend, and not every weekend.
Okay. So do you also think that it's okay to take a break on LinkedIn? Because you also did that. I've done like complete research about you, so I know everything. So like you have taken a break as well. So do you think that affects LinkedIn? And is it okay to actually take breaks, or you have to post every week?
I did take a break. Yeah, yeah, good research. This was literally last week. Last week, and I needed to go away for a few days with my family. And I'll be honest, this was the first break where I went abroad that I completely switched off from LinkedIn. So last summer, I was just getting my routine started, and I went to Greece, and I found it really hard to switch off. it didn't help that this was a very chilled, sit around by the pool holiday. So that just made me want to get on my phone more and get the engagement going. And I was very much, content was on the brain then, and I couldn't stop thinking about it because that growth had just started to happen. This time it felt very different. Things were moving in a good place. Um, I still had that nagging doubt. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I still had that feeling of what if, like, because things are going well for me, numbers are going well for me, that community feels there. I know it's ridiculous to say in 1 week everybody would disappear. Right? I know it's ridiculous. Everyone knows it's ridiculous. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come into your brain and just eat away a little bit and make it tricky. Um, but I did. I switched off completely, and I started back this week at the usual time that I always post here in the UK. I think there's been something going on with the algorithm anyway, even before I went away. So I would say my impressions, as I mentioned earlier, have taken a hit anyway. And there almost feels at the minute like this. It happens on my clients' post too. There's like this little lag, right, where maybe 4 or 5 months ago I used to post and I'd spent a lot of time building community. So it was a really fast-paced interaction, back and forth, back and forth, back
Yeah.
and forth, back and forth. And within half an hour, I was like, wow, these numbers are incredible. That's eased off a little bit now. That's nothing to do with the break. I'm not saying that it happened before, but that's the only thing that is still there. My numbers have still been good since I came back. The same people that have been very kind to me with comments are still there now. They've not forgotten about me in a week, and I've not forgotten about them either. There were some nice DMs from people just to say, "Haven't seen you around. Where are you?" Which is really nice, isn't it? Because we're talking continents here. We're talking actual across the world people not noticing that you've not posted for a few days. So um, things are good this week. Back on track this week. I'll definitely go for 6 posts this week because again, it's in my head that I've had a few days off. So yeah, it's Easter weekend here, but it's a pretty chilled one for us. So yeah, tomorrow morning there'll be a nice relaxed post coming
That's
out for
great.
sure.
So do you actually follow any type of video trends? And do you actually believe in this whole concept of trends and you're jumping on the trends, or do you think that it's okay to have your own way of posting as well?
I'll be really honest with you. I hardly watch other people's videos. I really don't. I'm not a trends guy. I think, like I said at the start, I wasn't a social media guy like throughout my life anyway, and so I guess I've jumped on a trend right when videos started to take off a little bit. Um, like I said earlier, though, I jumped on that trend for a variety of reasons. Um, and so now it makes sense to my business as opposed to just make sense for impressions, right? But no, I don't really take in other people's videos. I didn't when the icon was there, and I kind of don't now. It's just there for me to be myself through my video content.
That's great. So this brings us at the end of the podcast. It's wonderful having you, Phil. And you have an amazing smile. I have a smile ready now. So, do you have any message you want to give to our audience at the end? Just a quick message.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I just say things take time. Like that's again, it's the cliche, but it's so true. It's taken time. It's taken me a year to what I'm getting now with a good system in
Yeah,
place. You can't rush this thing. Like don't give up. Don't pivot too fast. Just know it's going to take time.
that's great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It was wonderful having you.
Thanks so much.